Hey everyone, so today I figured I'd answer a question that most people have been asking me, which is why did I decide to join a sorority and then why did I join Sigma Gamma Rho? Well, I figured I'd give you guys my Sigma love story, the true reason behind why I decided to join what turns out to be one of the greatest sororities ever. I know, I get dramatic and nostalgic and I just really like Sigma Gamma Rho. I don't know what you guys want from me. Anybody else will feel the exact same way about their sorority. Okay, so the reason why I joined Greek Life, let me think. Let me first say, I was not planning on joining Greek Life. I had no intentions of joining. In high school, I would hear about Delta Sigma Theta and Alpha Kappa Alpha like day in and day out, 24/7. So at first I was like, oh, I think I'll be a Delta because I think that suits me. Didn't do any research. I was just going off of hearsay. All my teachers were Deltas and AKAs. That was like all I was surrounded by. Never even heard of Sigma Gamma Rho. Never even heard of the Zeta Phi Beta. And I don't think up until I joined Greek Life that I ever saw it, like ever saw their colors or letters until college. So, you know, first thought, I'm gonna be a Delta. And then I get to college and I'm like, you know what? Because I lived on a sorority floor. I'll post my university experience video down at the bottom for you guys to see. It's pretty much the same story, but I lived on a sorority floor my freshman year and saw what those girls were going through. They were just doing rush. Like they were doing rush back then was 1 week and you had to go to, they had about maybe 25 to 30 sororities that they visited their houses. If they had a house, they would visit the houses for a week, and then at the end of the week the sorority would place a bid on them, and then some people would get into the sorority that they wanted and some people wouldn't get into the sorority that they wanted. And that's all I knew about sorority life because that's all I saw living on that floor. And I was like, oh no, I'm not joining a sorority if it's gonna take all that. I'm not about to do all that. No. That was all that I knew about sorority life when I went to college. So at that point I was like, nah, that's too much work. I'm not about to do that. Not knowing anything about MPHC or their process, I was just looking at rush. I was like, no. So one of my floor mates, who's also my RM, she took me to an alpha probate. And I'd never been to a probate before. She actually ended up taking the whole floor. I don't know how all of us ended up going, but it was everyone. We all went to the alpha probate. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is fun. It's like night and day, y'all. I'm not even joking. MPHC versus NPC in terms of activities and the lives that they live, night and day. Totally different atmosphere. So that got me into it from that point. I was like, oh, this is fun. They actually like interact with everybody and it's really, really cool. And that was the one time where I saw all the sororities in one place at the Alpha Probate. So I saw Sigma Gamma Rho, Delta Sigma Theta, Alpha Kappa Alpha, and Zeta Phi Beta. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. Maybe that'll be something that I'd be interested in later. Still didn't put any thought into it. Turns out one of my floor mates was a Sigma Gamma Rho. And she was so nice to me. Her name was Angel. She was really, really nice. And I basically befriended her just with no intentions of joining a sorority. I just befriended her because she was cool. Because for the longest, I didn't know that she was an SG Rho until she had an event, or until we went to the probate and I saw that she was with SG Rhos at the probate. I had no idea. But that's what I liked about Sigma Gamma Rho, is we're people, and I'm just saying this from my experience, but you wouldn't know that I was in a sorority unless I told you I was in a sorority. So from there, I was like, you know, if I were to join a sorority, which one would I choose? Because I knew I wanted to do something in college, something that would not only take up my time, but I would actually thoroughly enjoy. So I was like deciding between sororities. I went to intake orientation and they had orientation in this giant ballroom. It was so big, so many people were there, and they had each sorority go up group by group to talk to everyone. Like the men had to leave and the other sororities had to leave, then the sorority that had the presentation was the only ones in the room. Well, when I was there, some sororities had like 20 people come up on stage and they stood on the stage, and then some people had like 5 or 10 people come up to the stage and stand on stage. And I wasn't really feeling like they were being very personable, until I saw Sigma Gamma Rho come up to the stage. But they didn't stand on the stage. They stood on the floor. And they had one person on stage operating the computer, but everyone else was on the floor. So I felt a more personal connection with them than any of the other sororities up there. It just, in my mind, they just seemed so high and I was so down below. I wasn't gonna reach them. And then I saw Sigma Gamma Rho and they were already on the floor. So that really made a difference to me, because when you're looking into joining Greek life, people already see us as something unattainable, like we're way up high, like on a pedestal, like we're above everybody else and people can't get to us. Like we can't ever be down to earth. We're always up here, and I never experienced that with Sigma. I always thought that they were down to earth people. And not to say that none of the sororities had down to earth people, but at that time I didn't connect with anyone and I didn't think of any of them as being down to earth, because I hung out with some Deltas and I hung out with some AKAs and they were nice to me, but they were never personable to me. So turns out I just felt a more personal connection to Sigma Gamma Rho. So from there I was like obsessed. So I would research. I friended them on Facebook and Twitter, because we had Facebook and Twitter back then. We didn't have Instagram. And I feel like social media wasn't as popping as it is now, where you could follow somebody and nobody would think anything of it. But you follow somebody now and people are always watching you. We were being watched, but we weren't being watched like people are being watched right now. So you could follow people on Facebook and Instagram, or Facebook and Twitter, and no one would think anything of it. So I friended them. I friended almost everyone in the chapter, and I talked to them, and they were really, really nice. I met with a couple of them. We had lunch together, and they met a group of us together, and we had a potluck one time, and it was just like answering all your questions and anything that you wanted to ask. So we did that, and I thought that was really, really nice that they were trying to like make us comfortable and not make us feel like we were nothing. I don't know how else to put it, but they were really, really nice, sweet women, and just like you and me. So I really appreciated that. And 2012 turned out to be the year when I became a Sigma, and it was really, really nice because everyone that I knew in undergrad that I came in as a freshman with joined the other sororities, and it was so nice. I think it was the most peaceful year that I've ever experienced in Greek life, because everybody knew everybody and everybody was friends prior to joining a sorority. So it was really, really fun. That was probably, I think my first year was probably my best year in Sigma, because everyone was so nice and it was so new, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So I don't know what would have happened if I had joined the other sororities, but I can honestly say that me joining Sigma has made a significant difference to my life. Got to go to Indiana, and I met some really, really cool people that I'm still friends with to this day that are in other Greek organizations, IFC, MPC, MGC. Became an advisor, can't forget that. So that changed a lot for me. I also brought in new girls. A lot of people who joined after me joined because of me. And I think that's really, really amazing, considering that I joined because other people were in the chapter as well. So how people present themselves really makes a difference in your decision making in joining an organization. And you don't ever want to join an organization based off of face value. Like I said, I thought I was going to be a Delta based off of what everybody was saying, and it turns out that wasn't the case for me. Same thing I feel like can go for legacies. Just because your family belongs to a certain organization and that's the torch that they bear, it doesn't have to be your torch unless you want it to be. Do what makes you happy. No one in my family was Greek up until what year? Maybe 2014. My cousin became Greek, but no one in my family was Greek. A lot of stuff I had to learn on my own, so I try to educate my younger cousins about it and their friends when they're interested in joining Greek life. When people ask me about Sigma, I tend to run on a tangent, but hopefully I answered that question.